Hey, JC here for retirecheap.asia. You know, I'm always trying to have conversations with people that are either coming over here to stay permanently or coming over to check things out and to get their opinions on what they encounter when they get over here. Is it like what they thought it was going to be or not? Do they think, not just me, but do they think it's a great place to retire or live? So I'm off to meet a couple of members from my membership site, John and Barbara from Canada. Great thing about this is, notice what I said, John and Barbara. His wife's with him too, and so we're going to interview both of them because I always get requests for people saying, well, we want a woman's point of view as well. Why didn't the woman talk? Well, there you go. And we're going to go interview John and Barbara from Canada, a couple great members from my membership site, and see what they have to say about living in the land of smiles. So let's go check out, see what John and Barbara have to say. Hey kids, nice to see you again. Let me have a seat here and we'll chat a little bit. All right. So I did a little intro before I left the house saying that I was coming to meet you all, and it's nice to see you all again. Our paths crossed somewhere besides Chiang Mai. You know, I met you all before at our weekly meetings up in Chiang Mai that we have for members. And our paths crossed down here in Chiang Mai. So it's nice to see you all again. And I guess you like it here. You've been here a little while, off and on. And so you came last year, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
And stayed how long?
We stayed a whole month.
1 month.
But
All
that
Chiang
was the second time that we've been here. The first time we did the whole, what's the country like? We did Bangkok, Chiang Mai, Phuket, Pattaya, and we left out of Phuket. So when we came back the next time, the one that we liked the most, that we saw was the cleanest, was Chiang Mai. So that's when we came back, and then we fell in love with it and Barbara decided to retire because I'd already been retired for 2 years. And
was that a tough decision?
Yes and no. I love my work. I love my job. I planned on retiring a couple more years, but when we look at Thailand and the affordability of it, then we realized I could retire early. So hence we're here, and now we're traveling down the coast to check out a lot of the ocean resorts and cities, and then back to Chiang Mai.
Wow, very good. So if you came back, there must be some kind of attraction for you all here. And I think you mentioned to me, actually, when I saw you last time, that you all actually could retire in Canada if you wanted to.
yes, we could.
So why are you traveling around Thailand and checking this place out?
I'm a firm believer in that as long as you keep learning stuff and using your mind, you won't grow too old. I mean, I'm over 60, I realize that, but mentally I want to be active. And here everything is new. I don't understand the language. I don't understand the culture. I don't understand the way that I'm starting to understand the way that they view life, and I find it very satisfying, very down to earth, no, no competition as much as we have in Western society. It's not about how much money you have, it's how happy you are in life. I mean, the land of smiles, this literally is the land of smiles. There's more people here smile at me than I have in my entire life when I lived in Canada.
Yeah, it's true. And the thing about the money, you know, as any country or society becomes more middle class, which is what's happening. It becomes more of a consumer-oriented society, and that's happening here as well. But mostly you'll find that around, well, you find it everywhere. I mean, you go to villages, people have iPhones now, you know, because they have 3G throughout the country and stuff. So everybody wants to have communication. And before, when I lived in the village, you waited for high-speed internet to come to you. You know, you wanted the ADSL line or something, and now because the wireless carriers have got the contract, now everybody can have it almost instantly. They just put up new transmitters on the towers, all of a sudden we all have 3G. So everybody wants to stay connected. Facebook helps that, I guess. And it's become a society now where not only is everybody connected, but they want to have the latest and greatest thing because the media is pushing that.
They see it all. They see all
consumerism.
And even to the point where when you go into a drugstore or a makeup store and you go to buy something, Barbara has a problem finding any kind of moisture cream that doesn't have whitener in it.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't want
That's
to be
true.
tan. They
That's
want white.
exactly
So
true.
it's like they're even trying to emulate that. They want you to
Exactly.
eat. So
The
it's like-
whitener's in everything. I
Yeah.
mean, deodorant, from deodorant to skin creams
Yeah.
to
Exactly.
toothpaste. Even
Yeah.
everything's
Well, toothpaste, I mean, we're doing that too. That was what we were discussing today about the communication thing. In Canada right now, well, in Western society, all the young kids now have phones. I mean, we're not talking young kids, we're people that are just barely making it in life, or have a cell phone.
Yeah.
The difference is here, you can have a cell phone and the data plan or the phone plan that you have is very cheap.
Yeah.
In North America, it is very expensive.
People don't realize in other countries that they're getting ripped off by
Oh, yeah.
paying
Yeah.
for incoming calls. I mean,
Yes.
that doesn't even make sense. You pay for a call coming to
Yeah.
you. Somebody else should be paying for it.
Exactly.
You have to answer it, And here, we only pay for outgoing calls. I mean, so it makes more sense. So it's cheaper that
Yeah.
way as well.
And the other thing we found was, well, I did, before I came, like the first time I ever had a cell phone was this year. So before I left, I bought a cell phone and tried to find a plan in North America that you're not locked into. It's not a contract.
Yeah,
It's to
right.
find one that says, I'm not going to be here for 2 years, I just want to have a phone that I have minutes and be able to use it and nothing else. And when it runs out of time, I give you more money.
Yeah.
Here, that's common.
That's all there is,
That's all there is. You
basically.
go to 7, like that yesterday, I went to 7-Eleven, my data plan had run out, gave money, they got on the phone, talked to the Thai lady, done. All of a sudden I got a message saying my phone only had 3 baht left on it,
Go to 7-Eleven.
paid for that, done. It's very, it's there, but it's not, okay, you got to sign a contract now. I want all your money, I want to guarantee that you're
Yeah.
only going to be using me.
Because they give you the phone to lock you into it. They
Yeah.
entice you with the phone and then lock you into the contract.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean,
Yeah.
I've noticed that some of them have it here, like ASI and that have and True, they have a package where you can get a phone and, I mean, they have the same thing here that you do there. But there is also always the option of, I've got my own phone and I bought a phone at one of these kiosks there. Cell phones are for sale here everywhere. It's
Everywhere.
unbelievable.
Yeah, in the markets.
On the street.
It's a big market. Use telecommunication devices here. Because of that, everybody wants the latest and greatest. They get rid of the older ones, and people that are in villages and stuff that can't afford the latest and greatest can buy a cell phone for $20. And so then they're connected. And the cool thing about this is, I mean, I don't know if it's cool or not, but it's very interesting to me, is when I think about this, how long it took us to go from a society with no electricity, basically running off oil lamps, to where we are today, where you can communicate with somebody wirelessly on the other side of the world and see
And
them.
see
This
them.
was science fiction.
Yeah.
To us, that took a long time in our society.
Yeah.
Here they've been thrust into this. My ex-wife grew up with no electricity.
I know, it's
So
No
for them,
electric-
it's even faster.
One generation.
it's unbelievable. Like
One generation they've done this.
It's-
It's amazing.
We've had, well, basically hundreds of years. We've had the 1900s, we started to get automobiles on. They went from ox cart to
Ox cart and
we're
no
driving
electricity
Lexus.
to
Yeah.
get to
Yeah.
right, exactly.
It's just-
Yeah.
To sky trains and
yeah, that's their big
Skype.
push.
It's
Exactly.
amazing to me. I mean, it really is amazing to me.
They're all on Facebook.
Yeah. It's just amazing that that their society has been thrust into this so quickly, and they're adapting fairly well to it as well. I mean,
Yeah.
But this is one of the challenges when we talk about that. And back to Chiang Mai, where you even 1 year have noticed the changes there, and I over 17 years of going there. It's just amazing, the explosive growth. And those roads were all set up, the design of the city was set up for those ox carts and
Yes.
the little three-wheel
Yeah.
versus the little
Yeah.
samlas, which were three-wheel bicycles with a guy pedaling it.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to put, SUVs down those and tour buses.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing, and it causes some real challenges for the infrastructure there.
Like I took pictures of the beach street and the one block up, the size of the size of the street and sent it to our friends that we've made in Chiang Mai and said, this is what the roads are like here. I mean, they had two tour buses, one on each side, and there's still room for people to drive back and forth. In Chiang Mai, if there's a tour bus, the road's blocked. Nobody gets through.
It becomes a one-lane road.
Yeah.
You got to wait for your turn to go around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's still a lot of upside and good things in Chiang Mai. There's things I miss when I'm not there, but also some of the things that are there now are the things that I left. North America for. So
A little different for you because you watched the growth and we haven't really gotten to. We're enjoying what's there, and we also come from a city in Canada that's much smaller. We have 80,000 people, where Chiang Mai is I think 170,000 So for us, it's kind of exciting. There's so many different restaurants, so many different bars, so many different shops, and
that's one of the things. If people are looking for entertainment or distractions, it's a great place because it's not too big.
Exactly.
Like Bangkok or Pattaya or Phuket, someplace like that. But it does have all the choices that you would want. I mean, now we've got 4 shopping malls, major shopping malls.
Yeah.
We've done 3 of them, but most of the things that we do is everything that we want is in the old city. And
we love
I don't have a
walking through
scooter,
the old
we
city.
walk. So we walk everywhere. And it's sort of like at the beginning when you're watching where you're walking because there's half an inch or an inch stuff. Or there's bolts. I've already done that. A bolt where no lamp was.
And you trip over it.
And you trip over it. So now I'm used to picking up my feet more, and so I'm looking around, and the stuff that you see every time you go down the road, it's different each time you see it because you're able to look more and more around the stuff around rather than exactly where you're going.
And it is a walkable city. If you're within the central area of Chiang Mai.
We walk everywhere and love it. And the other thing that we have to watch for is signs, because the signs go right across the sidewalk, and they're low. For you would really have to watch. But there was one.
I'm only 5'10", and I stood, and it came to here, and it was a sign. And in the middle of the sidewalk, I have to walk all the way around it.
But we don't look at those things as a negative. We look at those things as interesting and fun, and it's just different. Pay attention to what you're doing.
Absolutely, and there should be no reason why we shouldn't pay attention as human beings to what's going on around us. And I think it would actually become more aware out of necessity of your surroundings, which is a good thing, because most people are so busy thinking about the same thing they thought about yesterday as they walk, that they're not even aware of what's going on around them. And so I think it's actually a good thing to bring us out of that and make us aware of our surroundings.
Right. In North America, if there was a half-inch difference in the sidewalk, people would be suing the city. I tripped, I fell down, I
would be painted another color, signs.
Like, which part of didn't we see it? It's right there. I mean, do I have to have an arrow pointing at it? Watch where you walk? There's no...
That's right.
Yeah. But that's one of the things we love.
I do too.
It's different.
I do too. I like it that people take responsibility and that they have the option to take responsibility for their own welfare by not having the welfare system that we have back home.
Exactly.
They take care of their own welfare. It means like if you can borrow money from your cousin and you can buy a food cart, tomorrow you got a job and you got a business, your own independent business. You can be an entrepreneur overnight here.
Yeah.
And that to me as well, and that comes back to regulations again. That it's sort of self-regulating to a certain degree, which instead of having somebody protect you, you have to protect yourself and create your own well-being. I think it's a really good thing. I think that's one of the things we should be learning and go backwards in deregulation and to a point where it opens up entrepreneurship again and responsibility. I think those are 2 things we've lost in America for sure.
Yeah.
Most states, some states are autonomous.
And Canada, I mean, we expect life to be served to us in North America on a silver platter. We don't have to think about anything because there's somebody that's already made the roads smooth, made the sidewalks smooth, just making sure my hot coffee isn't too hot, making sure that it's all healthy and all this stuff. So you have no responsibility whatsoever. You can float through life and not have a care in the world because somebody else is taking care of you. I mean, basically makes you a child in your society because Big Brother's taking care of you.
I agree.
Here, you're responsible for yourself, and if you don't take care of yourself, it's like...
That's right, and there's a fine line as to, at what point can they taking care of you too much.
Right.
Which I think is...
Now they're regulating your life and directing your life in the way that they want to, and there are no options, and that's the challenge. Is that you know, they're looking out so much that they've taken away all the ability to
Yeah.
have the rights.
Yeah, and challenges, and some of challenges, some life challenges are learning experiences, and so if you have that all
All of
taken
them
away
are,
from
aren't
you,
they?
But I mean,
right?
I mean, we're sort of like cookie cutter people in North America, where this is where we go to school, this is where we go to university, this is what we do as our job. We have this big whole, I have 3 weeks holiday, or maybe as my seniority works up in the company, I get 4 weeks holiday. When I was getting close to retiring, I got my 4 weeks, 5 weeks of holidays, and then I decided to take 7 or 8, and all of my coworkers were going, well, you only get 5 weeks holiday, and we're like, I only get 5 weeks of paid holiday. I'm not a slave here. If I want to take 8 weeks, 3 of them I won't get paid for.
Yeah.
If I accept that, I accept that. Where is it I've got to stay in this little cubicle that says you have 5
This
weeks
is all
holiday,
you
and that's
get.
all you can have? It's our society is tending to put more and more
It's regimented,
boxes.
you know, and it's done that to sort of, you know, I don't know if it's to create certainty in people's lives or what, or certainty in the government's life. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think
probably,
that-
probably.
It's
that.
they're trying to create certainty, and to me, it's creating more uncertainty than it is certainty. You know, but anyway, that's, you know, that's
That's
just
the reason
me.
I like
Yeah.
It's just you're responsible for yourself.
Yeah, it's a cool thing. I actually like it. You know?
I mean, here it's like you speak Thai. Well, I'm not fluently, but you speak it way more than we do. So everything we do is pointing and making signs, and some of our hand signals don't make any sense to them. Even this iced tea. I asked for an iced tea, and it has a picture in a little shot glass of that. I asked the other man, is it come this way and this way? And he said, no. Okay, this way? No. This way? No. So all of a sudden, I had to take it to another coworker that spoke a little bit of English, and he comes over and asks me what I wanted, and then, yes, I want an iced tea. How big is it? This big. It's just the language thing that we have to.
Yeah.
That's all part of the
And
fun.
that's all part of the fun. It's like,
Yeah.
what am I going to be
And
eating? I hope this is what I ordered.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and you went back into the point of, you know, staying young, and I think using your mind
Yeah.
is one way to stay youthful.
Yeah.
And if you have to learn new things out of necessity, I think it's a really good thing to keep your mind active.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because back home we don't have
Yeah.
to
think.
learn
I mean,
anything
yeah.
if we don't
You
want
get up, you
to.
go to your restaurant, you go to your library, you do whatever you want, you go to your little social group, and that's, you've got this little box that you live in that you do the same routine every day. Here we have a routine. We get up in the morning, we have a shower. I mean, that's not really a routine, that's just how we've been, but we have breakfast in our hotel, but we don't know where we're having lunch, we don't know where we're having dinner, we don't know what we're going to do in the whole day. Are we walking down the road? Are we going to hop in a Songtown or a cab and go someplace? It's just...
We don't have an expectation
of
that they should understand us.
That's very good.
We have.
I'm sure they appreciate
yeah.
that because a lot of people
We
it's the
realize,
opposite.
We realize that-
we need to figure out how to help them understand us, but we wouldn't expect them to know exactly what we want or expect them to speak more English to make it easier for us. We don't have that expectation.
That's nice.
And we're in their country. We've came here, so
Yeah, I mentioned this before.
You know?
About the,
Yeah.
when I hear people saying, I don't understand, they got all these foreigners coming, why don't they speak better English? Or somebody wants to have a relationship with a girl here or something, they should speak better English. And I thought to myself, I mentioned this to you before, I wonder if Hispanics in America, are sitting there and saying, those Americans, I can't believe they don't speak better Spanish.
Yeah, exactly.
They
should learn better
Yes.
Spanish.
If you want to follow that all the way down, we should all be speaking some native language.
Yeah,
Right?
that's right.
Because they were here first, we came to their country. How many of us, we in our Western society seem to not expect us to have to put anything out, somebody else should have to change for us.
And
We
that's
come to
what
this-
Make our life convenient.
Right. Why should I have to learn Thai? I'm spending money here, you should learn how to speak English.
That's right. That's our expectation.
And lots of Thais are like, if you're fine, you're spending money here. If you're not going to spend the money here,
It's okay.
okay, have a
Yeah,
nice day.
my pamperai.
Yeah, it's stay there, and the attitude it's really a big learning curve for me because I'm an anal type guy. I mean, it's got to be this way and this way. I expect, I'm paying for this money. This is what I want. Right? If I don't do
This is
what I
a real
want-
stretch for you.
Oh, I'm a firm believer that, like, my biggest problem is I have to stop doing this. this was my pose. A lot when you're upset, I go like this. Well, when I do this and a Thai's looking at me, they don't know what to do.
No,
I see
it's
Very intimidating and
Yeah, so I have to learn to that if I'm just standing there to put my hands down or put them behind my back. Because I tend to just even watching stuff, not upset or anything, it's just comfortable to put my hands like this. And when Thai see it, it's like, okay,
what is this mean?
why is he upset at us? And it's sort of like I have to consciously think when you start to look around, you see them all giving you sideward glances, you realize, oh, I'm standing the wrong way. I put my hands down or smile. It's unbelievable what a smile does in this country to everybody.
Absolutely.
Children, old people, young people, it's just, you smile and it's just like, okay.
I've had people on the back of my motorbike, and this happened more than once, and people, on the back of the motorbike asked me, well, why is everybody smiling at you all the time? And I said, because I'm smiling at them. They can't see it from my back or my head.
Yeah.
But I'm smiling at people and I'm getting the smiles back.
We often, well, we do that as well, and we find so many people smile back. Whereas often at home, people are looking down at the sidewalk. They're not.
You don't want to make eye contact with anybody.
Yeah. And we've had some wonderful experiences with families pulling up right beside us from their little motorcycle and their little contraption on the side, and wanting their toddler to say hello in English to us. So we've had lots of experiences like that. Or I've asked them, can I take their picture because, they were doing something where they looked so, attractive to me or interesting to me, and when they have a huge smile, allow me to take their photo, and then they say thank you. And I'm the one who should be saying thank you. So we've just had lots of experiences like that. Many more of those positive experiences than we have had. We've had a few negatives, but we
far outweigh.
We just deal with it and realize, okay, this is upsetting, but we'll figure out plan B.
This is
We'll figure out plan B and go from there, and eventually we'll get it sorted through.
I get people ask me, why don't you talk about the downsides? This is a downside, this is but the things that they want me to talk about are such a small part.
Yes.
Why focus on? There's so much good that outweighs those small little inconveniences or
Because we could go
We've
home.
talked before, and the loud motorbike goes by, or the advertising on the trucks, and this thing irritates me. I mean, it's not something that I think is a good thing, but it's like, so what?
how they
A
do
couple
it.
seconds later, it's gone. It's like, that's,
and
it
the
comes
whole
with the
thing is-
territory.
And if you really don't like it,
You can go home. You can leave.
That's right, exactly.
You don't have cement.
we were very fortunate because for many years now, every winter we would travel somewhere. Mexico. Typically for Canadians, you go to Mexico or
Cuba.
Costa Rica or Cuba, and we always looked at every spot for retiring, and each one held something that sort of drew us to it, especially warm weather, and then we tried Thailand. It's much farther away, but it did have something above those other ones. And I think a lot of that was the people. And just because the culture is so much different than ours. And like John said, we want to stretch our mind. We want to have to learn some new things. We're very interested in the practice, the Buddhism practice, and are excited to learn a little bit more about that every day and what their beliefs are and their practices are, and it's just fascinating.
Talking about beliefs, it's in those other countries, one of the main things, and I've spent a lot of time in Latin American countries, is one of the reasons I settled here was because of the value system is so much different than the value system of the Latin American countries. Not to say theirs is bad, but this is a much more peaceful and happy society.
Yes. We have seen, one of the things that has amazed me so much.
Not as expressive. Which can be a good thing or a bad thing.
But I see, everywhere I go, I see things that at home, you would never do that. In front of a business, maybe there's some statues or some potted plants, or a lot of the street merchants, they just throw a cloth over their items at the end of the day and go home. And at home, those would all be stolen. They'd be gone the next day.
Or like we noticed
it's beautiful.
the other night, before the rain, all the tubes that they've got on the beach that
Tire
they rent.
tubes for the
And
water.
at night when they close it up, the chairs are folded up and the tubes are just in a stack, and they go home.
Well, just down the street from us where we're sitting right here, I have a friend of mine, I buy my coffee from her, and I think she was in one of the videos I did here, and she has a little coffee stand that she takes the coffee stuff down, but she has another one right next to it that she sells phone cards, phone accessories, makeup, all these things, all this stuff. and all she does is take a tarp and wrap
Yep.
it around it with these, like the spring clips.
To
Yeah.
hold, and I think
Could
most of
easily
that
be
is
opened, but-
I think that's mostly just keep it from the elements. Like we watched
Too,
the videos
right?
of rain last night. I mean, they're covered up.
People actually have to physically take
Yeah.
it down and
Yeah.
make the
And I
effort
mean,
to steal it.
it's,
We're not-
it's
we're not
not that nowhere in Thailand is there ever a theft. I'm
Or
sure
crime.
there is. But, we've experienced so many places where there isn't, obviously. And, we saw restaurants they're drying a rice cake or something.
Sitting on a
And
bush.
it sat out on a bush where nobody could see it. And anyone who could have came and taken, but they don't. And I think a lot of that is that Buddhist practice, that karma.
Absolutely.
And I love the thought of karma. I love that idea. And so that's, another piece of what has appealed to us to come here for a while.
Yeah, you'll see as you ride if you ride a motorbike and you park at places, whether it's in a shopping
Yeah.
mall or 7-Eleven, you get off your bike and look at the bikes next to you.
Yeah.
And there's, backpacks and
Everything.
Helmets
and
sitting on it,
Well, I mean,
everything.
nice coats,
Oh,
yeah.
backpacks filled with stuff
Yeah.
and stuff, and they put it there, and it's like
it's still
as
there
you
when
say,
they come
there's
back.
theft, but it's
Yeah.
not
I-
rampant, and it's
Yeah.
not something
And I
that you
think part of the
focus
thing is
on.
too, most of the people, if it's stolen, they're not going to be, I got to get the police. It's sort of like, well, this is life. Someone must have needed it more than me. That's basically, I think, what they do, because they accept that, okay, I'll put it out here, and nobody's going to take it.
Yeah.
But if they do, they might need it more than me, so I'm not going to really, yell and scream and
It's just not that they don't live in that fear-based
Yeah.
mentality.
Yeah.
It happens, but it's not something you think about and focus
Yeah.
on, that it's
Yeah.
an issue.
I mean, wherever we've taken our laundry, it's often drying overnight in front of the business,
Yeah.
right beside a street,
Yeah.
which I find fascinating.
Yeah.
But it comes back clean.
Yeah.
But
I
nobody
think about
steals our
this.
clothes.
I
No
think
one
about
takes our
this
clothes.
because I wear a size 12 shoe, which is almost impossible to
Yeah.
find here. And so when
Right.
you go someplace, you take your shoes off before you go in.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm thinking, if these aren't there when I come back, I'm going to be walking
gonna be in trouble.
barefoot,
But they're always there.
You're always there.
Yeah, they're always there. Yeah.
And so why I have you here and why we still have a battery on our camera and microphone, so let me talk to you as a couple, and especially as a female here, because these are two things that's very hard for me to get people to talk to me about. Because most of the focus is always on single people coming here. And so the two issues that females ask me is about being able to have a social life, meeting people that they have something in common with. This is a big issue. And also for couples, do you all stay, so not like you found this little pack of buddies and went off and you were left alone. I mean, as a couple, doing things together, experiencing all this together, learning everything together, those two issues, could you all talk about that just a minute, about what you foresee if you came to live here, what your life would be like as a couple primarily, and also as a female being in a country like Thailand?
I guess one of the, I do certainly notice, especially when I'm in Chiang Mai, where we've spent most of our time, that there are many more single white males than there are couples. But as you start to look around, you see them, and where we live, we're very fortunate because there's a social room, and so the other people that live there as well, mostly foreign, mostly white guys, but they're from all over the world, and they're not all there for one thing. Mm-hmm. They're here because they've been to Thailand a time or two before, love it, want to stay here. Some of them have found Thai partners. Mm-hmm. Some of them have married Thai women, and some of them are just here because they love it, and for no Thai, they're not looking for a Thai woman. They're here because they love Thailand. We've become very close friends with a man from England, and he has a Thai wife. They've been together for more than 2 years. Scotland, he'll see. Wherever. He's from the UK.
Yeah, there you go. Now you're covered.
She's a mature woman. It's not so. Her and I are learning to communicate together, and I love that relationship because I'm learning more about Thailand and her life and Buddhism, and plus she can help us get whatever we need. But I'm also enjoying meeting the single males, many of them from, like Belgium, Scotland, all over the place. And some of them are there with wives. One has a wife from Singapore. So it's very worldly here too.
Yeah, it's a
And
very
so,
international group.
yeah, so we really, I like that part too. There are times in the social room where it's just guys all having a beer, so he goes in and, I'll go off and shop or go up to the room and read or Facebook or whatever. But that's okay. We still do most things as a couple, and it's good.
And
Are you meeting and getting new friends, though?
Yes,
Oh, yes.
absolutely.
I mean,
yes.
you can't help it when you smile at people,
Yeah.
right? And the whole...
If you frequent certain locations
Right.
too, we'll try and frequent a couple of restaurants or frequent a couple of bars so that we get to know the staff there. We have staff that call us by name all the time. They love seeing us.
They know exactly what we're
they
going
know-
to eat
yeah.
or drink or...
And so we've become more than just acquaintances with the people who run the business. Sometimes we've gone places with them.
Great.
So, we're making sure that, I know we've heard of like gated communities, or there's a population of the Swedish, they all live over that area.
Right.
We don't want that. We do want to make friends with Farang, but we also want to make friends with Thai. We want to be integrated into their culture as much as, and maybe leave some of our culture at home. Otherwise, we
Why
can go
be
back
here?
home.
Right, exactly. That's the way I see it.
Isolation,
Why just? I think those societies or those neighborhoods and stuff. I think they're only here for one reason. That's the benefit of either the weather or two reasons: weather or
And
cost.
The cost, yeah.
And
But they
as a-
stay within themselves,
As a woman, I've also felt very safe here.
Wow,
Because
good
I
issue.
haven't seen a lot of vandalism. I haven't seen a lot of theft. And, like I said earlier, I'm sure it happens here and there.
Have
But
you ever
I've
felt threatened?
never felt it. And we
Actually-
walk down some
actually,
pretty
you walk
dark
everywhere.
stories.
Actually, the only place every time that we've ever felt threatened, when we were walking down the alley and a bunch of Farang guys were walking down, loud and drunk.
Wow.
Because you don't know how they're going to respond. The Thais, they're just going to smile at you and,
And these are dark soys
Oh,
or
yeah,
dark
there's no lights.
small alleys, right? And we go through them lots after we've had dinner.
I'm using my
and-
phone light to see, make sure I'm not going to
Occasionally.
step in a hole occasionally.
Never
These are
felt.
black.
No,
No, never.
never.
Wow. Good point.
And you walk down the street and there'll be, we've got a couple of streets there, they have, they tend to socialize around little groups and they'll have a barbecue going and cooking, I don't know, fish, chicken,
Yeah.
pork, something else, right? And they'll be, we walk down the street and there's a couple that they recognize that we walk by. We don't even know who they are. And they'll say, good evening, are you out for your walk? Like, just trying to say a little bit of English. And it feels so refreshing to have someone acknowledge that they've seen you and they're not afraid to do it, and you're not nervous that, okay, there's 10 guys sitting around this barbecue outside and they're drinking and cooking something. It's like, at home you're looking at, okay, we got a party going on here, I got to leave because they're going to get obnoxious, they're going to say something. To here, it's just like, they're going to be quiet and they're just going to smile at you and they might laugh at you.
And they're
say
probably
something.
saying something you don't understand as well, and that's almost always, it's like us saying, hello, how are you, and we don't really want to know how somebody's doing, we just say it, and what they say is getting calorie on you, and that means, have you eaten yet? Always they're going to ask you, have you eaten yet? And if they're eating, and it's not necessarily they expect you to join them, but they're going to offer it to you out of politeness anyway. And if you really were hungry, or you sat down and started talking to them, you would join in and eat with them. Even if you started just to talk in the social group like that, they'd be pushing food or pushing drinks on you and stuff anyway, because you become part of the group.
They're very social and
Very social.
we love that part.
I do too.
It's cute when they're if we happen to be shopping, and if the store is quiet, they're socializing, or they're on Facebook socializing that way.
Socializing.
At home, you couldn't do that. You have to look busy if you're not, right? But
Make yourself
they're
busy.
doing their makeup, whatever, and I'm like, I find it refreshing.
I do too.
Yeah.
Well, and part of that is they put in long hours. I mean,
That's
the store would open at 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock at night it closes, and that person would
14
be there.
hours are common to be at work.
to be at work. Yeah.
Take the verb out,
Yeah.
working.
Right.
I mean, some of them are working hard, and some of them are. It's a little slacker, but they're not complaining. They're still happy people, even though they've worked a very long day.
That's right.
They're still. The ones that I've met are very happy people, and they're not complaining about how long they work.
And the two issues about this, they're interesting to me, is school and work. And a lot of people I say, well, you could get a better job, or you could, why do you go to summer school to the kids? And the answers are always the same, because that's where my friends are. My friends are at work. They go to be with their friends. They go to summer school to be with their friends. They don't want to go home and stay there for the 2 months or whatever and do nothing and not be with their friends. And so that's a part of that social culture as well. It permeates every part of their society.
Well, and for me, I've always believed that being able to be social and having a healthy, happy social life is much more important than probably anything. And we get our esteem from that, we get our confidence from that. We it's not
get
how
endorphins that make you feel good.
It's not
that
how
help
hard you
keep
work,
healthy.
or it's how happy you are in life. And if you're having a good social group, then you're likely to be very happy.
And there's another thing that's happening. It's it's hit the news and the media a lot in America, and it does happen here, but only in big cities, not in smaller cities. And that's a bullying thing, because if you're in any kind of smaller city, I'm in smaller, not Phuket, Pattaya, or Bangkok, anything other than that, or Chiang Mai, some areas of Chiang Mai, I consider smaller cities. You'll see people within a social group, either grown-ups or especially the kids. And you'll see somebody in that group and go, boy, if that kid was back home, they would be ridiculed because of their weight or because of some malady that they different. Good point.
It's just
Different.
the difference. You're not part of the.
They would be ostracized from any group, and here they're brought into the group and they're part of the group, and it's like that is really, really cool to see that people can be, human. I mean, to me, that's a human trait. We should all
accept that we're not all the same.
Yeah.
I mean, the social thing we really notice when the school kids, whenever they're going for, I don't know when they go to school, because it can be first thing in the morning you see them, at lunchtime you see them, at night you see them. They're always a group of kids in uniforms from school, so it's like, and it's every day of the week. There's no Saturday and Sunday they're on. And there's never just one or two. It's like 7 or 8, and it's girls
laughing,
and guys
happy.
and laughing and chatting away on the phone, looking at pictures of each other, and Facebooking to hear somebody done something here. It's just there's social action all the time.
Yeah. You'll very rarely see a Thai eating alone. It's almost unheard of.
Yeah.
If you see a Thai eating alone, they're waiting for their friend to show
Waiting
up.
for someone,
Yeah, they are.
It's just,
yeah.
and it does feel good, like walking down the street and what was it the other day? We were in Chiang Mai, we were walking down the street in the schoolyard, and you're watching all these kids lining up, I guess it's whatever, a break, and they're all getting ice cream.
Yeah.
Right? In our country, they would be pushing to get into line, and I've got to get here, I got to get up there because
Well, boy, you'd be stealing the other kids' money.
They're slowly strolling up to it, and they're getting it, and they chat, and then they're in the way. Nobody's getting rushed. Get out of my way. I got to get there. Wait till the person walks out of the way. Wait for their turn to get it. No, and the noise is just it's just like unbelievable. The children just laughing and talking. In our society, the only time that you see that is in recess in the elementary schools, in senior high schools, or in junior high schools. You don't hear that much social interaction. It's real small, 2 or 3 or 4. Here it's like the entire school is like turn the volume up to max, and they're all trying to talk at once.
It's interesting you just brought that up, and we will probably be wrapping this up shortly before we run out of batteries and stuff. But where I live, it's a neighborhood where there's a number of Thai children, and they range from toddlers all the way up to going into high school. But they play outside.
Yes.
They play.
Yay.
And when they play, they're loud.
Oh, yeah.
They're interacting. They're not quiet and sitting. They're playing.
No, they're loud no matter what they're
And there's sometimes it's like my foreign values again about space and thing all come into play. And I think about it, and I go, because I'm trying to do something like concentrate on something, and it's like, this is kids being kids.
Yeah.
And I think we've said so much, quiet down, stop making all that noise, all that we've lost that ability. So it's like, for me, I sit back, and when I start to feel like, I wish they'd be a little quiet, so I think, well, isn't it great to hear the laughter of children playing and interacting with each other? And I look at it, it's all in our perspective in life.
And at home, we have a lot of personal space. A lot of personal space. Our yard, our homes, we have huge
and don't
homes,
intrude on
right?
my personal
Exactly. Over here, they don't have a lot of personal space. But they're not bothered by that.
No.
And so we have to get used to that, too.
But they don't touch each other. I mean, like you're in it. Like for example, we walk through the market. I mean,
I
it is
mentioned this
packed.
before.
In my country, you'd never do it. You'd never move.
You'd be running into each other too.
Here, it's like they're just skating through, and it's like nothing. It's just, we don't bump into each other. I realize you're going to be right there.
Par
I
for
turn
the
my body.
course.
It's just like, it's really.
And a lot of people are intimidated by that, especially on the motorbikes and stuff.
Yeah.
They think people, they're trying to cut me off and they're trying to... No, they're just being them. They're just driving the
Where
way
they
they
gotta
do
go.
and walking the way they do.
Yeah.
A lot of people are encountering this in Russia that have lived in Pattaya a long time. I mean, about Russians that live in Pattaya, because there's such an influx of Russians there with a different set of values. And people lived there for a long time before they started coming and used to the Thais not running into them. All of a sudden they say, I'm walking on the sidewalk and all these people
Bump in India.
basically running them all over. And it's because in their society, that's common.
You get out of their way.
Yeah.
It's the same thing walking down the road. We
And I'm
walk
not,
across-
focusing on Russians being a negative thing. It's just a different
It's
set of
us.
values
Yeah.
I mean,
that everybody's used to their own set.
Right, like
Yes.
walking across the road. In our country, you walk out and you see a car coming, you know that car's going to stop.
Absolutely.
Here it's like, the car is coming at you, and if you're not out of the way, he's just going to tear his horn and keep going.
We've had lots of experiences where the walk light is on, we can now go. Not yet.
Yeah,
not
You
yet.
still
Make sure
got to look both ways,
Good.
and then you still got to make sure behind that van isn't a
That's right, a
motorbike
scooter.
scooting around. But
Slow and deliberate and try and make eye
Yeah.
contact
And
and
we-
make sure that they're not Facebooking
Yeah.
and not seeing
and I mean,
you.
we've seen it from Frank and Matt point at the light and yell, and we're like, "Good luck with that, buddy."
Yeah.
We just know this is how
He
it is
taught them,
here.
didn't he?
Yeah, sure. They're just looking
They'll
at
never
it.
do that
As soon
again.
as he goes
Yeah,
by,
right.
they drive
They're
both
just saying, I don't get it. What's
Yeah.
wrong with this guy?
Yeah.
Which part of I saw you, but
Well,
nobody
it's
else
like
is
coming
behind you?
home after, the dog peed on the carpet 4 hours before and started beating the dog. Doesn't know
Yeah.
what he beat me for. And it's like,
Exactly.
they don't get it.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
And that's the way
now,
it
in
is.
Hooligan down the road, I do see some people stopping for the crosswalk and remaining stopped. And
The
then
whole
other
time?
times they're going, like, why are you stopping? They just start going, and everybody's like, they don't know what to do now. It's
Yeah,
becoming
yeah.
like,
Confused,
should I,
which
should
is
I
probably
not?
worse.
Well, actually, it
Yeah.
shows there's change coming, though.
Yeah.
That people are becoming more aware, especially in a town where there's a lot of foreigners that are
Yes.
expecting that.
Expecting the green light,
Yeah.
I can walk
Yeah.
across.
Yeah.
Well, it's been great
Yes.
to hook up with you all again and chat with you all, and for you all to share with other people your experiences and your feelings about being here. So, John, thank you.
Yeah.
Barbara, thanks so
You're
much.
welcome.
And so you're going to check out a couple more places before you head back and
Yep.
make your plan whether or not you're going to do this
Head back
permanently.
to Chiang Mai, not head back home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay, Chiang Mai is now our home. We're
Yeah,
on
okay.
vacation right now.
Yeah. And so when it comes to where you're deciding to live, there's what?
Always an option.
Always an option. So, JC, John, and Barbara signing off for Retire Cheap, and hope you've enjoyed our little conversation and learned something, and got some entertainment as well. So, thanks again.